What players' cards will go up the most in the next 10 years? Dealer, collector, and investor debate that next. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our channel, For Collectors, a channel that's for collectors like you. I'm Theo, and today is episode 8 of season 2 of Dealer, Collector, and Investor Debate. And this is a fun one. This is one of those topics, in my opinion, if you're hanging out with a bunch of card friends at the National, at Strongsville, you're around the bar, and it's a good topic to debate. What player in the next 10 years cards will go up by the biggest percentage? So it's based on percentage, right? And you could go a whole lot of different ways with this. The easy route to go, I guess you could call it, is you pick a modern player that hasn't, more of a prospect that hasn't taken off yet. But that's a hard debate because there's a lot of risk there, right? That would ultimately be the answer if you knew what prospect it was. But I think most of us are going to go a more safer route and try to pick more of a blue chipper to talk about and to debate in this one. The crazy thing about this is all four guys said a different player, right? And then I had a different player than they said. And then I was watching Greg's channel. And of course, somebody asked Greg this question that I asked the panel prior and actually recorded it prior to Greg's episode. So I want to show you Greg's response. I thought it was a terrific response, and it's actually something I would have said. So let's put on Greg's response.
I, for a long time, have said that I think that the players that are going to hold value and increase in value the most are the ones that will long-term be relevant in society. The more relevant the player is in society, indefinitely, the safer their card values are, and the higher the ceiling those card values are. So for me, I think the person that has the most long-term societal impact and will always be acknowledged and remembered and revered is Jackie Robinson.
All right, so there you have it. Greg feels Jackie Robinson. I feel very similar, Jackie Robinson. I think most people would maybe think I would say Clemente. Clemente is definitely possible. The documentary actually comes out on the History Channel next week. I'm super excited to watch it, and I'm going to be talking about it on my channel a little bit more in the upcoming days, actually. But Jackie Robinson is that name that all the kids learn about in school now. He's in the history books. He's not just baseball history. He's American history. So I think even though his cards have gone up a good percentage since the pandemic, I still think his cards will continue to rise personally. All right, without further ado, let's get to the panel. Thank you guys for watching. This is a good one.
So that's a really tough question. When you answer a question with the word so, you have to take the answer with a grain of salt. So for me, I don't know. I'm not Nostradamus. I have been collecting a long time, and I've seen several players that have had upward trajectory. And those are the main 10 players in my burrito. If I knew, I'd buy, all the cards I could 20 years ago. Should I have bought Mickey Mantles, 15, 20 years ago and just stocked up and had a stack of mantles instead of buying bum after bum because I liked them? Probably. But if I had to guess, I would probably guess it'd be Babe Ruth before it's ever going to be Ohtani. Ohtani has Babe Ruth stats already baked in, which I will say that I now, after like 7 years, I do know his name. So usually I don't know these assholes' names. I don't even care about their name until you showed me a little. He showed me. He's a hell of a hitter. And when his arm is right, I mean, what he's doing is really Babe Ruth-like. So I mean, I see his prices right now where they're just too high to sustain. And I think with all these 101s, and his signature is just putrid. I was looking at his signature the other day, and it doesn't even look like an O. There's no O, there's no H, there's no S. It's seriously it looks like Clayton Kershaw with just a C. So I mean, and I know these guys are signing so much that nothing you have is going to be rare. Now, if Paul Skeenies turns into, like a Sandy Koufax, which I mean, he's pitching great. And I will say, I thought by now he would have thrown his arm out. So, more power to him. He's great. But you know what? You don't become a great pitcher by winning 5 games in a year. And with that team, he's putrid. So you have guys like him. You have Aaron Judge, who is also making a believer out of everybody. He hit 350th homer the other day, fastest player ever to that. Yet he's still kind of old. So who knows what's going to happen with him? Will he break the record? Maybe. So you might, but again, you have prices that are already built into these guys. So I just think what happens is you get the next greatest guy. I mean, I got my friend the other day asking me about Joe Paglione. You got me Joe Pagliones. I go and look up the guy. He plays for Kansas City. He's hitting $140. Why the would I even want to know what his name is? I don't care about Joe Paglione. What happened to Dante Bichette? And the other guy, the Guerrero kid, and Gunnar Henderson, and I mean, you can't. You got a guy here, this big dumpy guy, Cal Raleigh. He's hitting homers out of his ass. How come his cards aren't going to the sky? But in 10 years, those guys ain't shit. You're going to end up with Babe Ruth, excuse me, Ty Cobb, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, the same guys that are always in your Hank Aaron's, the same guys that are always in your burrito, the top 10 guys, your Ted Williams, they're going to stand the test of time. Underrated, yes. But I mean, your Joe DiMaggio's, these guys are always going to be great. These kids today will never have counting stats like that. They don't care. They can't sign their name worth shit that all you guys are chasing after these signatures. And all they are is squiggly lines. So enjoy that. And that's just, how I feel.
I think it's an impossible question to answer. Most likely, it's going to be some nobody that comes out of nowhere with limited stuff somehow in the modern era of printing cards and just explode onto the scene and rides hundreds of percentage points essentially from nothing to a lot. That's impossible to know. So I think because of the way that I collect and the way that I approach things as a collector first, a lot of my approach to how I hobby would kind of answer this question. So meaning that I think that the guys that are at the top end of the market now, in terms of popularity and price, things that carry a premium, that will only continue to grow. It's like investing in blue chip stocks as opposed to the penny stock that explodes. That may not be exactly the answer that Theo is looking for here, but I would be more willing to put my money on over the next 10 years who would grow the biggest percentage, if I was going to guess at it, would be one of those blue chip players. So that being said, I'm going to choose someone that is just out of the reach of a lot of collectors for playing days items, as well as autographs. Even relic cards of this player are not affordable. They're within reach, but this player has only gone up over the time that I have been collecting, which is now 25 years since I was 9 years old, nonstop. He was long dead when I was born, and it's Babe Ruth. I think that Babe Ruth, year over year, his items slowly grow. I remember, thinking about the 4 different 33 Gaudies that around 2015, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head, they went for a couple grand a piece in, a lower grade condition raw, or like a, 1-ish, 1.5 kind of deal. That's only been 10 years ago. And yes, I know that we are on this side of the COVID boom and all of that. But, you pick those up in low grade now for 5-6 grand. That was only 10 years ago. And that's double, triple in the lowest possible condition, the lower end of the spectrum. Not to mention how much ones on the opposite end of the spectrum have multiplied and gone up with the already existing premium they had for the quality of condition that they were in. Secondarily, from an autograph standpoint, I know for a fact that I purchased my Babe Ruth autograph in 2017, right before I proposed to my wife. The deal was that with myself, that I would purchase that because I always wanted one and pay off our wedding, our honeymoon, and the ring and the card before I bought something else because I was going to have more responsibilities down the road. Kudos to past Jake for doing that because I purchased my Perez Steel cut autograph Babe Ruth card for $3,100 all in off of eBay, believe it or not. One happened to pop up. Thank you, Jesus. During that time, that worked out well for me because now, 8 short years later, that's a $10,000 item. And I could not afford one of those now. Also, especially in terms of autographs, they're not making anymore. He's not signing anymore. He is long past. So there's a finite amount of those out there that Babe Ruth signed, even as great of a signer as he was. So that card, the autograph, has tripled in value in less than a decade. So if I had to pick a player to go with that I would be willing to push my chips to the middle on of who would grow in the biggest percentage, I would put my money on Babe Ruth.
So my answer is going to be Mickey Mantle. It's hard also to speak about just a specific player rather than get into the details of specific cards because there's sometimes like certain cards that I think may do better than certain players. But the question is player, so I'm going to stay with Mickey Mantle. Why? Mantle is the king of the post-war era. So he's already what I would call the highest demand player in the hobby today from the post-war. And I think you have two things, in my opinion, that are going to contribute to the increase over the next 10 years. One, he's a player that there's still a lot of people alive who saw play, who were big fans of, and who shared a lot of that with their children, some of whom became fans and collectors of Mantle. And number two, and the bigger factor really, is I think the hobby is still in a very large growth trajectory. I think there's a lot more people coming into the hobby on a regular basis. Shows are continuing to get busier, and good inventory is really hard to get. So going back to economics 101, supply and demand, I think demand for Mantle will remain really, really, really strong moving forward. And with more people coming into the hobby and a very large percentage of those looking for Mantle cards, the supply is what the supply is, with a few additional cards here or there with different finds. But the supply being limited and demand increasing puts upward pressure on price. So that's why Mantle is my answer.
This one was easy. It popped into my head right away as a no-brainer. I thought through these questions, I like twice I've looked at them. He's been like heckling me like get these things out. This one popped into my brain so quick, so easy. Sadaharu Oh, like the home run champion of the world. I think Sadaharu Oh will go up by the most on a percentage basis. Number one reason, I just think he's really inexpensive. I just think for the rarity, the scarcity of the cards, it's unbelievable what you can get. And the way my collection, I'm trying to collect all his super crazy hard stuff to find, like most guys do with the, American baseball, like Major League Baseball. That's how most guys are collecting those. Like, a lot of guys in the community are trying to find the rarest stuff. Well, I'm trying to find that with Sadaharu Oh and a few other Japanese players. And I know I'm pumping my own player here, like my guy, but I truly think there's a lot of things that could hit. It only takes a few people to fall in love with vintage Japanese baseball cards in particular. And I think with the way Pokemon is and Otani they love baseball is their number one sport in Japan. So they love baseball and they don't collect, at least from what I know is not a lot. So what you're hearing come out of my mouth, I know very little about things. These are my opinions. So look everything up I say out there. They don't collect a lot of vintage. And I just think in the future, especially even with these Pokemon cards, they're starting to go further back. Or, I heard they were just recently. I always thought, like the 99s and whatever, 96. Those guys collecting Pokemon are going deeper. And I think that if Pokemon crashes, in the future, I'm not saying it's crashing now, not predicting when it's going to, but yes, I do think it will. Side note, think it's the next junk wax thing, and think it'll be collected forever, and in 30 years, maybe today's are bargains, but I think there's going to be a massive correction. And I think when that correction hits, it'll force people to really, I think the older Pokemon will hold its value the most. And I think a lot of them might even start looking at baseball more and going deeper into their own history of Sadaharu Oh being the all-time home run king in professional baseball. He is the king. He's a legend. And his cards for what you get versus the Ty Cobbs, Mickey Mantles, is spectacular. And I think the opportunity right now is huge. I don't even want you guys to go out there and collect his cards. I want to just keep buying them, and they might not be worth anything in the future. They could stay the same forever. I just think that there could be a shift where all these collectors over there start collecting baseball cards more and more, and they also want to learn about the history of Japan and the history of Sadaharu Oh and a few other guys in the league. A lot of other guys. So that's my answer. Sadaharu Oh. Think he will go up by the most percentage points because he is so inexpensive now that I just think that there's all that I talked about, and there's just also the cost of a card in the moment. It's like buying Otani cards right now. Do you want to? It's the big chance that he gets hurt and they go down, right? Like, you want to buy at the top of the market. We at the top of the market in anything I talk about, like Sadaharu Oh. Maybe we're at the top of the market. I don't know what these cards are worth. I don't look up VCP. I don't have it even on these old cards because I was buying them because I liked them. Then learning about them as I went. So when I talk, it's like I say it all the time. I don't do like this crazy research about cards. I'll buy the cards and then, if I want to do research on them, like I have with these, I learn about things. That's how I collect. And I do it just off the top of my brain and my experience over my entire life collecting cards. Never stopping. I'm learning more about different sets. I was a Topps guy. So going down this rabbit hole of Japanese baseball cards also has been great because I'm learning a lot of different things. So I'm just having a great time, and I love questions like this. I like to think about things like that. I am a collector and an investor of baseball cards. I said it from day one of my first video ever on YouTube. I said it was a marriage for me, both. When I buy a card, I think about those things I always have. And now I think about them even more. I don't want to say more. I think about them in different ways. Because, man, there was a time that I bought all the GOATs in like 99 to like 2003 or something. Man, I had Michael Jordan rookies. I had a bunch of Nolan Ryan rookies. Brooks Robinsons in high grades, like so many crazy rookie cards. My goal is to get all the biggest from all sports. Gretzky rookies, well, they like doubled or tripled, and I sold Not all of them, but most of them. Because I was so scared back then that I was the only one collecting. You know, it's probably 3 to 6 years later I sold them. I don't remember how long, because it's a slow grind up. Especially from when 99, I would say I was really just buying, because I sent my first cards in the 8th grade, but really buying a bunch of cards. Bunch of vintage cards. So, dude, I know I got way sidetracked. I pulled a Greg. But I want to explain my answers as we go along. And I just want to be authentic with you guys. Like, this is how I do it. I don't have charts and data. I have a spreadsheet of my own cards. And when I buy a card, I enter it in my spreadsheet. I put what I paid in that moment, and I put what I think it's worth in this very moment. So the date's on there. So in 5 years, I go back and I'll look to see what a card I thought was worth when I bought it. And a lot of the times I overpay. So I literally will put in the thing I overpaid. So Sadaharu Oh could be the same thing. I could be overpaying right now. And in my spreadsheet, I'll put I paid $200, and I'll put I think it's worth $150. Because I wanted the card, the guy had it for sale, that I bought it. I don't know what it's worth. I don't look. I just like a win collecting. That's how I've done it. There are exceptions, but so when you hear me talk on this, just know that's how I look at my collection. That's how I collect. So there we go. That's what I got.
Join me on October 5th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central for a live baseball chat on 4 Collectors.